I used to think I was unlucky in love. That's the story I kept telling myself. Wrong person, wrong timing, wrong city, wrong app, wrong conversation. But after years of swiping, matching, ghosting, deleting apps, downloading them again, convincing myself that the next person would finally feel different, I noticed something that scared me more than rejection ever did. I stopped choosing. Not because I couldn't, because I no longer trusted any decision I made. Every match felt temporary. Every conversation felt replaceable. Every connection carried a silent question. What if someone better appears tomorrow? It wasn't just the people I dated. It became the way I experienced love itself. Paralyzed. Quietly. Without realizing it. People think dating paralysis feels dramatic. It doesn't. It feels like constantly standing in front of an open door and never walking through it, because every open door makes you wonder if another one is waiting just around the corner. That realization changed something inside me, not all at once, slowly, until I couldn't recognize the person I had become. I remember matching with someone who made me laugh harder than anyone had in years. Our conversations lasted until 3 in the morning. They remembered tiny details about my life. They asked questions nobody else bothered asking. For the first time in months, I felt seen. Really seen. But then, another notification appeared. Someone newer. Someone closer. Someone whose pictures looked more exciting. I didn't leave because the first person was wrong. I left because I couldn't stop imagining someone who might be better. That became my addiction. Not attention. Possibility. And possibility is dangerous because it never has to prove itself. Reality does. Every real relationship eventually becomes ordinary. People get tired. They misunderstand you. They reply late. They have bad days. They disappoint you without meaning to. But possibilities never disappoint. They're perfect because they don't exist yet. I kept chasing people who lived only in my imagination. Meanwhile, the real people, the ones who actually cared, quietly disappeared. At first I blamed modern dating, the apps, the endless profiles, the algorithms. But eventually I had to admit something much harder. The algorithm wasn't trapping me anymore. I had become the algorithm. Every person I met was instantly filtered. Too quiet, too emotional, too confident, too uncertain, too available, not available enough. I wasn't dating people anymore. I was comparing them against imaginary versions of everyone I hadn't met yet. That comparison never ended. Neither did my loneliness. The strange part is, I wasn't emotionally unavailable. I was emotionally overloaded. There's a difference. When your brain spends years believing there are infinite options, choosing one person starts feeling like losing everyone else. Nobody prepares you for that grief. People assume commitment feels exciting. Sometimes it feels like closing thousands of invisible doors. That fear became louder because I was already carrying another one. As someone who spent years questioning where I belonged, I had always learned to keep part of myself hidden. Sometimes it was my identity. Sometimes it was my feelings. Sometimes it was how deeply I attached to people. I became an expert at editing myself before anyone else could reject me. Dating apps rewarded that habit. Profiles became performances. Pictures became additions. Conversations became branding. Everyone looked emotionally available. Few people looked emotionally safe, including me. I wasn't lying. I was curating. There is a difference. But over time, curating became exhausting. Every message felt calculated. every joke measured, every opinion softened. I wanted people to choose me, yet I never showed enough of myself to truly be chosen. That contradiction haunted every relationship, because partial visibility still feels safer than complete honesty. Until one day, even partial visibility becomes unbearable. I remember sitting across from someone who genuinely liked me. They reached across the table, smiled, asked if I wanted to see them again. My heart said yes immediately. My mind interrupted. What if saying yes means missing someone better? That thought lasted only a few seconds, but it destroyed something much bigger. Trust. Not trust in them, trust in myself. From that moment on, every decision became negotiation. Every relationship became probability. Every feeling demanded evidence. Nothing felt enough. Not because people weren't enough, because certainty no longer existed inside me. I started confusing excitement with compatibility, confusion with chemistry, distance with mystery, unavailability with value. The harder someone was to reach, the more important they seemed. The people who actually chose me felt strangely less attractive. Not because they lacked anything, because my nervous system had learned that uncertainty was more emotionally stimulating than safety. I wasn't searching for intimacy anymore. I was chasing emotional suspense. That realization hurt, because it explained years of repeating the same story with different faces. Swipe, hope, fantasy, attachment, comparison, withdrawal, repeat. Each cycle made choosing harder, not easier. Friends thought I had impossible standards. Maybe they were partly right. But my standards weren't really about people. They were about avoiding regret. If I never fully chose someone, I never had to fully risk being wrong. Indecision became protection. At least that's what I told myself. In reality, protected me from closeness more than heartbreak. Because closeness asks something that endless options never do. Presence. Real people need patience. Imaginary people only need imagination. That's why scrolling feels easier than staying. Scrolling promises possibility. Staying demands vulnerability. And vulnerability cannot compete with infinite choice. Eventually I noticed something even stranger. The more choices I had, the less I understood what I actually wanted. Everything blurred together. Faces, conversations, dreams, even my own identity. I became someone who adapted to whoever I was talking to. Different jokes, different interests, different versions of myself. Not because I wanted to deceive anyone, because I desperately wanted every door to remain open. I thought flexibility made me lovable. Instead, it made me invisible. Not invisible to others, invisible to myself. I could no longer tell which personality was mine and which one had been designed to keep someone interested for one more conversation. That was the loneliest part. Not being rejected. Forgetting who was doing the choosing. One night I deleted every dating app. Not because I suddenly healed, because I couldn't hear my own thoughts anymore. Silence felt unfamiliar. No notifications. No new faces. No tiny bursts of hope every few minutes. At first it felt like withdrawal. Then something unexpected happened. I started missing people differently. Not as possibilities. As humans. I remembered conversations instead of profiles. Laughter instead of photographs. Comfort instead of excitement. For the first time in years, I wasn't wondering who else was out there. I was wondering why I had spent so much of my life running from people who were already here. Maybe dating paralysis isn't created by having too few good people. Maybe it's created by believing that every decision must be perfect. Because perfection keeps love permanently in the future. Real love only exists in the present. I still don't have everything figured out. Some days I still catch myself imagining the next person before I've even learned the name of the one sitting across from me. Old habits don't disappear overnight. They fade when they're no longer fed. What finally changed me wasn't finding the perfect relationship. It was realizing that endless choice had quietly convinced me that commitment was loss. It isn't. The real loss was never choosing deeply enough to discover what love could become after the excitement faded. Because attraction begins with possibility. But intimacy begins the moment you stop searching for someone better and become brave enough to truly see the person already in front of you, including yourself.